Defragmentations and fragmentation line settings to really recognize communication. So levels of electrical line communications and position probe locations. Electrical line connections all levels high setting. Today in class, we're going to go through line communication and fusion. The infusion location is going to morph line setting. Now that's 4 lines of 7 in position of track lines. Really recognize line position levels of the T reception location of data. The high line interference and track location as we come into higher sets, it's really understand to see yourself through all position. You're here, you're not here, but you're always here in position location track settings. Massive nothing is massive equation to all calculations. Massive nothing is massive everything. So in those locations, I'm here, not here, I'm always here. Really recognize the communication system. So as we go into 4 line setting, the center calculation of 7 is going to be tracking lines. So in that position of direct locations, you're going to become things through its shape anomaly. Okay. So understanding that is the understanding the formation of its morphosing, position of its telegraphing to its defrag, to its fragmentation, to the oscillogics. Now, an oscillogic location is one panel, one channel per stream. And that stream is allocated in position of direct line setting to all calculations to 0 line position. The 0 line position location is all levels of calculation your 12 DNA track line conditions. So when you become these things, it's understanding you through formation. And when you get into that information panel, you start to recognize the communication line settings. You have a keyboard frame. You got a computer line and you got a keyboard frame, right? And you got position of your space bars. You got line connection, alphabetical line connections. You got your formations. You got your navigations. You got your caps, your locks, your tabs, and high sign control connection alt. Sending line position levels of space bar position locations into your magnetic line of Windows set line position your consoles. Okay, you got line communication of 2 sets and 3 line positions. Okay, so there's 4 lines of satellite position location with 2 moon set line rotations into 2 interact location settings. The operation system to all position locations comes into travel lines of 3, the set lines of another 3 set locations. 2 channel opposite stream lines in high center and high position location trap interference. 2 inline rotations, 4 in position locations, and position of 8 in 10 set location. Now, recognizing the calculation line setting is really understanding the perimeters and the security high setting. Now, we have the solar stream position of directions, but you have to really understand the shapes and anomalies when you come to these things in position locations. Now, we went into time zones in space discoveries in season 1, where it was talking where your particles separate. They come out of your body and they come into form. Now it's in position location as computer. So the computer communicates back through you through voice and grid set. Now it's understanding you, position, location, directions. So now you're in that correlation. You're in that shape anomaly. You actually are the computer setting. Okay. So understanding the correlation line setting is understanding the timelines in frame locations. Now this interlaces its line communication setting. Now this is a voicing channel because your throat lines are in a high position of track lines. Putting higher communication streamline sets position, location, and directions. So in that position locations, you have 47 line setting. Okay, 47 locations, equine connections. Now that's 4 channel line settings and position locations into bracket surface. All right. Now the bracket surface locations is 4, 7 line position locations, 4 equals 7, 5 line setting into 12 line track in position location into D and A. Center calculation line settings, line position UFO to another UFO to another UFO. There's 3 track location settings, right? Done by equation. All right, so setting position locations all levels. Now the 4 line setting is setting line of directions. Now the 4 equal location of 7. You circle the 7 line position because that equalizes its position of 5 sets and calculations. 5 sets line centers of 12, again, through DNA track line, setting line position locations, equal line positions into defrag, setting line position locations, high setting. Now when you come to defrag, it's really recognizing the communications to its setting. Defrag line conditions of frag to set locations. Done by equation. All right. Now as we come into the center calculations, we got 1 line in setting, right? Into 2 line position of infinity cycle. So that's 4 line position over 7. Okay, recognize communication of solar stream line setting. Recognize the line position of ground line setting. In operation the magnetic line setting. in high operations. So you take the 3 track locations into 3 measures in correlation system to 3 atoms. Center position, straight down correlation. All right. Now the center calculation comes into dimensional line rotation. Its surface is in all calculations of travels. Setting direct line setting sets a position offsetting in its position track line. Setting position locations all levels and high center line conditions to its butterfly effect. Setting position of track lines in set location puts everything in position of 47 line conditions in its set locations. Done by equation. All right, setting direction is coming into theta. Now the theta line in line rotation interference is box location setting. So that's 2 antenna line interference, 1 in moon and 1 in sun location setting. Okay, rotation spin cycle sets line position location in 1 setting. Okay, you come into projector locations, cross its signal. Setting direct locations opens another channel operational line position to location to its setting. Line communication to its ground line setting sets position location to its satellite rotation. Setting direct location in a new ground line and rotation surface set locations done by equation. All right, as we come into the box line center, it gets position location open channels. It gets bigger, it gets bigger, and again, it gets bigger in 3 set locations. All right, so you got 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here in set locations. All right, so center calculation is 0 line, sets lines of 0 equals location of 3. 3 line center lines is 7, 7 position location of 5, 5 line center position of 12. DNA track line, in line center and line position location, all levels, circle line rotation, and position of travel, done by equation. All right, so heart, mind, and soul set up position locations into high setting, put position location of track lines. So you get a box interference and 2 lines of overlap location setting that rotates its surface location position line track. So that's 1, 2, 3 set location into a triangulation line position, done by equation. All right, so 1, 2, and 3 sets line communication system. So you got 1, 2, 3. Equal line conditions in high setting. So that's 1 line position, that's 2 in track locations, and that's 3 in high line position location operation, done by equation. Equal line communications into high line setting into Merkaba position of north, arrow and position of track, downshift line arrow and line position locations into a position line setting, done by equation. All right, circle line position location of 3 sets in high setting into 2 sets in line setting into 1 set location. Line position of 0 operation, equal line conditions, high setting. Theta line interference sets high position location of track lines in position location into box center. So the box center line in its rotation is circle, 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 circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 circle line settings and line setting rotation, done by equation. All right, setting position location of triangles. Now the triangles are set at the line communication line interference. Triangle line sets in 4 line position locations. All right. This comes into high setting, up in line position of directions. Center line communication, 1 over pi. 1 line setting and line communication into 2 tether communication settings. Line communication line systems into 2 track lines of high setting. Ground line setting, in position location, lacing lines in 3 track line connections. High position of ground lines and operation signal in high setting. High position location, high line interference is 4 line rotations into 7 position and track lines. Setting correlate line interference, communication system, new teleportation streamline. The line communication comes into a diamond core line setting, into another diamond core line setting, into another diamond core line setting in a line communication system, in a new Merkaba, in an astral connections shield, NAT position location track lines, a new dimensional line rotation into a Fibonacci swirl to a double helix line position locations into 4 over channel in set location setting, done by equation. All right, so setting position locations is all about understanding how to use your theta setting. The compilation line interference comes into position location into a computer line position to its high system. Line communication line setting. The rotation circles in 1 line, 2 line, and 3 communication into triangulations of 3. 3 sets line communication. So that's 4 over line position locations and 7 position 8. Now the 8 line crosses over to 9 line rotation. 9 crosses over to 10 position of 11. 11 comes into 12 line rotation interference into flash drive communication system. Console calculation line center and 2 line rotation interference. Flash drive communication escape lines of box line rotation interference. High communication of box setting, high line system track level system. Open all calculations to computer adaptations into 4 line tracks into 7 location settings, done by equation. All right. Okay, so setting up the computer line is understanding the defrag. So we got a defrag box line into position locations into a graph line stream and set locations. So the one line interference calibrates its high line rotation interference in two track line settings. That one's position location offsetting in two track locations. Now the line communication comes into a circle. That circle rotates its backline position of programs, opens all calculations to high setting. This water contains its line communications in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 sonar line rotation interference that travels in communication setting. Operation signals, operation setting, set line rotation interference in three track locations. So 3-line position, 3-line calculations, and 3-line position locations. Bracket interference, condition of zero gravity line setting, done by equation. All right, so setting position of track lines is an X-line setting. An X-line setting line specifications all levels. XE line interrotations, line interference, line communication system, telewave and line interference, and telegraph and line communication system, energy line, graph line, position location, equation line interference, box line, position locations, high setting, two box line setting, and position location of track lines, done by equation. All right, so setting position location measures, center line position locations, high setting, theta line rotation interference, setting correlated line position of diamond set, line position location, I line rotation interference, and set location setting, operation signal line position of measure and kind of correlation system, magnetic highway information line setting, ground line rotation center interference, open all position location, high setting rotation interference, into console communication setting, rotation setting, operation setting, done by equation. All right. So magnetic field channels, streamlines and high lines, a high communication, high setting is open all positions. So you got a box line, center line, interference line, position location, high setting into zero line rotation, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 line position location of 7, 7 line position of 4, 4 line position of 3, 3 line position locations, and high locations of pi, center calculation setting, done by equation. All right, center calculation line position locations comes into a bubble. A bubble defense line rotation sets line communication in the throat. Or line communications. Line communication, line communication, line communication, line communications. 4 bubbles in line rotation. 1, 2, 3 sets in position of 1. Okay, the center calculation is one planet surface line setting, line position locations. This comes in all communications of Pluto. Pluto sets line position laser lines into position location in one pattern. One pattern rotates its system in position of directions to allocate timeline streamlines. Line communication lines its travel, lines its travel, lines its travel, lines its travel, laser red location, high setting. This opens all position location in UFO line rotation interference in position of tries, high position locations in the vortex chamber, crosses streams line communication system, crosses over into theta line rotation in position location track lines, and T reception line position location, all level operation signals, done by equation. All right, so setting position location is understanding how to use the pixel stream. Now, being cautious here because the communication line setting is one position of directions. So you got one tether, one vibration, okay? Center calculations, offline signal. So you got to be off the graph line, right? In position location setting, in direct location setting. Line communication is zero line rotation, okay? Setting position of graphs is extremely important when it comes into higher calculation line position of its alpha line setting into its delta position locations into its omega line communication. 3 line settings and line communications. Heart, mind, and soul is set up in line communication to its geographical perception lines, a systematical of its teleportation streams of the energy graph line of rotation surface in a high position location, high setting rotation, done by equation. All right. So as we get the graph stream set up through all levels of T reception line calculations, we come into zero channels. Now Z equal conditions line center level line position of gravel lines, line rotation interference, and high location of travel line location high system. Pyramid activation line center rotation surface location settings. Now, line communication comes into one line setting in zero line rotation, another zero line rotation, position of triangulation, that's position of 3 set locations, done by equation. All right, so as we come in at ground line setting of zero gravity line interference of 4, 7 line position location over high setting puts position location of traps. Now, the trap line, okay, we come to trap line. No, trap line has to stand location setting. So remember we got in a correlation system and I basically stopped space for 3-minute track settings. Well, it's all about understanding the measure correlation to your throat. Right after 3-minute line communication is a high center line position location. This is copy and paste, but the position of direct location is 47 line streams, setting line position of a trap. So that's a teleportation into its relays in a correlation to its atmosphere, to its atom line perception locations, opens all channels to streamlines and correlation. Now, the line communication line system comes into Z line. Now, the Z line equal line conditions of 6 half moon position locations into the moon set into the sun rotation setting, done by equation. All right, so as the trap is open, we come into escape. The escape line communication setting sets up the console in 2-line setting. So that's 3 zeros in set locations. All right, setting position of flux capacitor in downshift location setting. Setting line rotations into a diamond core line setting in position location of center line in communications to a clock line rotations in a 24 signal in set location. 24 line setting into 48 line communication, RAP, WRAP. That's a RAP. That's funny. Bracket line setting line position location is width line communication of relays in position atom to position location perception. Line connects line strings, sets position locations into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 position of direct line setting. Setting correlation system to 8 position of 1 in position line setting. 1 equals line of 0, 0, 0, 1. 8 line centers of 1, 0, 0, 2. And line communication 8 in position of 1, 0, 0, 0, line of 3 location setting. Down by equation. All right. So, how's everybody doing? Setting the theta, yes, the 40 line settings of solar stream location sets. Put you in position location of 7 over channel, 7 over stream, 7 over panel, 7 over pi in set location settings. Okay. It's very powerful what we're coming into. Okay, Tara calculations, Gypsy line centers, Heather, Madeline, Airbender, Sam. Val, Chris, Ash, let's see, Zero calculations, all setting line positions. Line communication line center, Johnny, and line communication, Jinsey, all position locations, and Airbender, line connection high system, Mumble line position of Heather, line communications into Laura into high center location of Tara, line condition to Commander, high position location of Trinity line communication high system, high track line settings, all position locations, high interference, high direct line setting, all position locations, max and line communication, all levels of high setting, all levels of position locations, all levels of median line rotation, interference, circle locations and settings. Corrupt circle location setting, high position of track lines, high position location operation signals. But it's very powerful when you come into higher communication of formula line setting, line position location of 4-7 line settings into defrag, the fragmentation lines of a key reception line of communication system to 2 consoles of correlation system of space and time. The elevation line interference comes into the levitation string sets. Now we get a line interference line position of traps. Again, we come in a trap line position. You have to understand there's 2 trap line settings. So you got trap line interference of telecommunication, telegraphing. That's 3 line centers. Travel line position of 3 in set locations. So we set the 3 zeros in set location of rack line positions into 1 hanger and line rotations into 1 sector in line communications in connections to its volume. Sets position of track lines. The volume sets line position location to its Merkaba in position of north line into a cross line signal, setting cross line signals into set locations. Now the line communication comes into position locations. That's where it gets complicated. Setting calculations into 3 set line positions, all levels of high center, geographical map line rotation, indirect location to planet surface of high setting. Done by equation. All right. So as that's set in signals, planet surface line rotation interference, because in position location as of tomorrow line signals, you guys are going to come into 40 string lines and set lines in high setting in direct locations into measure. The measure of the correlation of a scale line is going to set everybody into affinity cycle of 8 set location. All right. So back in line communication of 47, setting line centers of 40. 7 line interference, that's 40 lines of 0 in set locations. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in direct location setting. Okay. Now we bracket the line communications only in 3 sets and 3 set line position of tracks. Setting lines in 2 line communication, high center interference, flux capacitor, and position of flux capacitor position locations. Now that's 2 line centers and 1 line setting of a 0 line. So that's 1 equals 0, and position of 0 equals 1 location. Okay. Now the line communication line setting, so that's all position location to 1 console. Now that console lines its operation system to all position of travels and 3 set location settings into 3 set line settings. Now those 3 set line settings comes in higher line rotation interference, sets position location of high setting into another position location and directions into a box surface, and set location high travels into 4 line setting into 7 location set line and rotation system. done by equation. All right. As you can see, it's spinning. Zero wants to jump in.
I found this on the web.
That's funny. All right. So setting correlation line setting is recognizing communication. Now, once you understand the communication line center, your voice box, your line triangles, your line system, the allocated line interference of high cis location is the teleportation of adversarial line communication and line interference of balance. The balance line setting and line communication line stream is setting position to your track lines. That's putting you guys into morphous equaline conditions into teleportation. Okay. Tele line setting into portation. Okay, you got to split the communication in 3 sets. Now, setting line communication line center sets line calculation. Teleportation. All right, so 3 line sets in sets of 1, in position of 2, in position of 3 set location. Right? Now, we got the lines of 0. We set line position locations into 1 graph line setting, into 0, 1, 2, into 3, into 4, into 5, into 6, into 7. So 7 line connections of 4. 4 line setting line interference into flux capacitor. Sets line position location high setting in position of pi. Pi sets line communications into negative over positive, positive over negative line rotation interference into 3 sets of rotation to a new set location of a new barometer line connections to a theta set line position. Done by equation. Okay, so setting position of travel line position. All right, so where are we here? Laser grids, set, okay, let's see. I know it's a lot going on through shift lines, controls, alts, panels. Really recognize how to use your keyboards, guys. All right, really position high settings. So mechanism high setting. Okay, mechanism of high setting. Alteration of change through alteration of lines of cells. Now the cell line interference and line position locations sets line position locations high setting. That cells line position locations of pi set position. So the pi lines its perception to its calculations to its volume, velocity, and VAS, the set line communication. So you put a hanger line in communication line setting. That opens all its locations. So you come into this line communication. Okay. Recognizing communication to its settings. It's complicated stuff if you don't understand the travel position locations to its set location. Now, once you get into the line communication, the line setting, you start to recognize position of travels. High set line position locations, higher positions, all levels, position of directions. Geometric gravels and travel connection position travel line settings. Now that's recognition line communication. New position high setting come into all levels of AI calculations, into VAS, into volume, and into velocity set lines, the perception locations, into cells in its pi calculation, done by equation. All right, so there's 40 channels, there's 7 lines and high line interference in your computer adaptation location morphing. Now the morphing sets lines into transmutation. Translation line stream. Now setting position location is opening in all levels of view of travel. Okay, so you got a 47 line setting. Okay, equals line setting. Okay, 47 equals line setting. I get a box line position locations into 3 set lines of box locations. Travel communication is always in 3 sets. Always in 3 sets. Set in position of 6, in position of 7, in line communication of 8. Now the 8 line center sets position of 7 equals 8, and 3 equals 6, and 6 equals locations of 9 in set locations. Down by equation, right? So I change the line communication, your pi lines and set lines in your space line communication to your theta communication line streams in position location to calculation line positions, all in operation signal. 47 line communication equals line position of 4 lines into systematic line connections of 0 of operation. Down by equation. All right. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, it's great to see that you guys are coming to more and more levels. You really have to get into your astral travels or your settings of power over pi. Okay. Power over pi is an accelerator of alchemy. Now, we already know what alchemy line setting is, right? It's a measure of correlation system. It positions direct location to soul identification line setting. The setting correlated line interference comes in position locations into set locations into your two panels of DNA set. Now, line communication comes in position locations to your position line direct locations into your tracker set. Line connection high setting line interference sets position location of 0, in position of 1, in position of 2, in position of 3, in position of 4, in position of 5, in position of 6, and in position of 7. Say 7 equals lines of 4. 4 sets line communication system into the center of its box line of travel of 12 DNA line connections. All right? Done by equation. So using your 12 DNA track lines gets you into all levels of teleportation line setting. Okay? So as you come into the box line, it opens all lines of sequence locations of patterns. All right? You notice my voice has changed again. Recognize the line centers of an atom line rotation. Okay? As it gets bigger and 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 bigger, it's traveling faster and faster and faster and faster, right? So you set up a security perimeter in set location. All right. So it gets easier too when you understand the panels of the operation to its ground setting line communication to all position. All right. So it's all an operation signal and sigma. Setting line communications, this is you walking the surface in travel locations. Okay. Crossing string, vortex line position locations. Setting correlation line, you disappear and then you reappear in set locations from here to here. This is where you come into vortex chambers, set location settings, down by equation. Okay. Now, we have to recognize our line connections and how we see ourselves in future setting. The recognition line communication sets all levels of portals. Okay. So correlating line interference, higher self line position travels into 6 line settings. Okay. You have to really understand how to travel position locations. It's traveling very fast in position. So it goes through here in set locations and sets lines. And then it walks its surface into its bridge set line and calculation streamline in position of track line. Okay, goes through here, through the tunnel setting. Box line and T reception is 2 antennas and set lines. 1 in the moon set and 1 in the sun and rotation. Okay, down by equation. All right, so that's set up 3-year projections now. Okay. So again, we go into 4 lines. We equal line communications into pi. 4 equals pi, right? The intelligent line comes to its awareness, equal line connections to its position of species line, in position line connections, into its future adaptation, equal line connections of form, line communication, jump scars line communication into its process of line settings, into north line sector, into south line communication, into a triangulation line center, and position locations of pi setting in direct locations, done by equation. All right. So you got voice channels of operation stream now. Okay. Recognizing your voice is recognizing your theta. How to use the solar stream is a magnetic line. Then that magnetic line, it connects the line connections to your planet's surface that is in 12 line setting your DNA. That's all position locations to your planets because you're coming in infinities now, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 planet settings now. All set up. All equal line connections and triangulation line interference of laser location, laser and direct locations. So you got pyramid sets and line communication of spot channels. This is 4 lines of signal line and rotation interference in direct location settings into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 position of track lines. Okay, so we're going to sync line communication of planets, set a position, 4 line setting and rotation interference, and set locations. So that's 4 lines is 7 position. Okay. Now, line connecting is really understand how to measure the correlated line interference. Each triangle has to be set up position location in each planet's surface. This allocates position location of timeline times super locations. This allocates your position of towers of communication to your satellites. That sets up a new ether line rotation interference and 3 set line communication system to your inner core, the outer core line interference. 1 + 1 equals 3 line communication system in a direct line setting to position location of track line that opens all your triangulation line position locations into your GOD that center lines its communication setting and position location allocating line interference into high center locations of technology location. Done by equation. All set in position. Now, The line connecting line interference is set in position of travels. It's all set up. Okay. Mechanism line interference, line position location of 12 line setting. So that's line position of 12, line position of 11, line position of 10, line position of 9, line position of 8, line position of 7, 6, position of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 set and 4 lines of equal line conditions of theta line interference of 7 over pi. Done by equation. Last but not least, the correlated line setting, the line interference in high set positional levels, positional planet lines is now in a triangulation line sets in 4 box location settings. 4 box location settings and 2 set locations. So that's 2 in positional barometer in 6 line conditions into 2 set line interference into center calculations of a new line positions into 4 channels of 7 operation. Done by equation. That's it. All right, sound barriers, correlation line streams, setting, position, location, high setting. So there's a lot of communication that's coming into high rise. Okay, now your 47 lines are set up now. Now I got to get in position, location, particle streamline interference into reception location settings. Box lines, T reception locations into position locations in line setting. Okay. Setting circles and nine-line rotation of travels. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 to set up line position. Now the 4-line setting sets line position location into 1 box locations, setting line position of 0 gravity, in line communication of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 on top lines, equal line conditions underscore, position of high line settings, high position locations into 6. 6 crosses over into 8 in line conditions of 9 in set location. Down by equation. All right. So your T reception line setting and your radars are set up now. Okay. There's a lot to understand when you come into 47 settings because it's all position location, how you see yourself, the mechanism. The line connecting is really understand how to travel locations. Your center communication line setting. This is you in position. Okay. And this is you in position and how you see. Okay. So you got a high position location, a square line. So the square becomes you in set position locations. That's what you're coming into now. Okay, you become this shape. Congrats, it's all done. So just give you guys a review in line connections because you have a test coming up at the end of the month, obviously, but it's a long process to really understand how to put yourself in position location directions, how to get into mutation settings, how to get into teleportation line connections, into transmission locations amorphosing. Teleportation, stream interference location, transmission. Now, this is truly understand how to use your light communications through its fruition. Line setting is really important to understand what's going on in position locations, right? So every time you're going to be looking at something, you're going to be becoming these things. You have to recognize what it is through its intelligence because it's a core recognition to its inner line and its outer line position to its computer adaptation line center that holds its signal location to its heart line recognition time setting. Because everything is electrical connections. And once you understand the electrical connections, you get a better location to a set and high setting in line communications into 47 line setting and 0 rotation. Done by equation. All right. It's all done. So, yeah, it's just a wow, isn't it? Yeah. Now you guys can breathe, drink your water. All right, so you all set up 47 line setting. Tomorrow we get into your affinities. That's going to be really tricky. Okay, so it's a lot going on now. It's all set up. Everything's set up. Okay, so really start recognizing calculation set lines and make sure if you're getting a direct signal, you will be automatically in that line communication. So it's like a magnetic wire that's setting line connection. So if I'm looking at my computer and I stay in set lines and a 60-second line position of 24 ground setting, I'm already its computer. I'm already of its shape, its computer. And if I stay more in its shape, I become the levels of its computer, the operation of its computer, the center core of its computer, the operational line connections of its computer, the keyboards of its computer, the electrical set line communication of its computer, the mainframe of its computer connection, high set and position location tracking line communication system. All through provision. Okay. So there's a lot of things you have to understand how this works because it's all position location settings to your holographic line connection. How you see yourself and how you perceive yourself are so many levels in position. You have to really understand how to use it through its equation. Its formulas, equations, higher levels of travel calculation setting. You see it for what it is, all right? And it's going to see you for what you are in position of directions, all right? So getting an observation line interference, position locations, that's totally fine, right? You're looking around, you're observing, right? So you're doing fast ride settings, okay? But if you get a direct signal, right, and you're in 60-second locked in set location and position location of trend setting, what's happening right now, the actual computer is looking at you and that set line interference. Anything faster than 60-second lock set location of 24 ground line interference, you become the shape of its computer rotation. You have to understand the sequence location of patterns, guys. This puts you all in timelines all at once because that's what we live. Okay? We live everything all at once in a one-day setting all the time. Okay? You have to recognize the vibrational line stream to understand the correlation interference to set communications to your alpha line rotations, the box location setting. So you got an alpha wave line setting in set locations. You got a delta communication or wireline interference into a negative in position of positive location. Okay. And you got position locations to omega that sets line communication of a new operation to a new UFO line rotation to a scan set location. Done by equation. All right. You have to learn how to use the position of your keyboards. That's why you guys are going higher. So going higher, you understand the mechanism location of travel, teleportation, telecommunication, telegraphing, tele-line stream sets lines in position, code weaving, crop circles, line connections, high circulation, right? So you really have to understand how to reach the deeper core, not just the tracker line interference, not just the higher solid line position location, high sand position location, but your remembrance location to its avatar line setting that connects all levels of form in your mind system. Okay? Done by equation. All right. Telepathy is pinging. Oh, you're all set up. So now you just have to really understand what just happened. Okay? I mean, you're reaching higher levels of your position, your consciousness settings, and you have to realize you're all levels of consciousness, which means you're everything that you can imagine. Everything is created for you, but everything is you. See, that's a thing. You have to become everything to know everything, which is everything of nothing. Nothing is everything. Everything is nothing. That's how you exist. Try to understand how this all works. If you understand the working progress, then you understand the position of its direction is to get there. Okay? To come here is to come here. To understand this is to understand that, is to come here. To motivate this is to motivate this, is to come here. You're always coming into the center of all levels of operation of your set location, right? All right, so tomorrow line setting line interference, solar stream interference. We'll go to infinity cycle line communication system into line connections. Darman line setting, line interference, infinity cycle line communications, planetary server locations, all levels of high setting. Adios.